right? Indirect would be up here. We're tilted the other way. We're going to get more direct sunlight, right? So which one would be summer for the US? The one in the bottom, right? So this would be June because the sunlight is hitting the northern hemisphere directly. This would be like December because the sunlight is hitting it indirectly. Okay. All right, so we talked yesterday about solar insolation, right? The amount of energy, the amount of sunlight coming in to the Earth, okay? Some of you have talked to me about grades. So I put your grades online last night, not really like online, but I looked at the grade distribution and I asked other AP teachers from around the nation if their scores looked the same. So this is what our grade distribution is right now. We have 54 kids. 10 have A's in my class, 15 have B's, 22 have C's, 6 have D's. Okay. There's also one F. Okay. But that's also due to a missing test. So, all right. So this is, there were a whole bunch of comments from people. Most of them said, hey, that looks normal. There were 2 comments that I wanted to show you because I wanted to give you guys a pat on the back. One person said, if 10 have A's with that big of a test weight, meaning I told them that your tests were 90%. I'd say you've got some super smart kiddos. Also, if only one has an F, yeah, it looks normal, the distribution. And with 90% summative, meaning 90% for your tests, that looks like a distribution of a strong group of kids. So even though you guys feel like you guys aren't doing, like that it's super hard, okay, you're learning. And these guys were pretty impressed with your grades. There were a lot of teachers who weighed in and were like, hey, my kids, like, I have like all C's and D's because my kids won't do anything. You guys are putting in the work, right? It's not going to be easy, right? What do we know about like AP Chem? How many of you came from AP Chem? Some of you? What'd you have to do to get a good grade in AP Chem?
Work.
Is that really true? Study, but what could you also do? I don't know. I've heard some stuff, right? I've heard that you don't really have to work that hard. I don't know if it's true. I've just heard it. Okay. But in order to get a decent grade in this class, you're going to have to work for it. And the thing is that these grades are going to correlate with your AP score. So if you have an A in the class, you're probably going to get a 4 or 5 on the AP exam. If you have a B, you're probably going to get about a 4. If you have a C, you're probably going to get about a 3. Okay. So these are not like the easy A's that you guys are used to. Okay. These grades are pretty normal for an AP class, okay? So just keep working at it. You will get better, right? We've talked about study tips. I will help you study, okay? But I wanted to cover that with you because you guys, I know it feels like a lot, but you guys are doing some really good things, okay? We can do that. All right, so here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be moving on to chapter 4. So I have your note packet.
What?
All right, at your desk, you should have one of these that says layers of the atmosphere. So you guys see on your note packet where you have this blank rectangle. You're going to be using this layers of the atmosphere sheet in order to fill that out, okay? So it has instructions on it. You do not need to write anything next to these, the words for the notes, because I'm going to give you different things to write there. But you need to follow the instructions on this sheet, okay? You're going to be making the different layers of the atmosphere. Okay, and then we'll regroup in a second. I'll give you about 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes, okay? So the troposphere is the layer that's closest to the Earth. It's where the weather occurs. So when you guys are memorizing, we're learning these different areas, right? These different parts of the atmosphere. I just want you to pick some things that stick out, okay? So for example, with troposphere, you could pick out weather. So if you're studying, all right, instead of just making a flashcard on troposphere, you could make a flashcard or a sheet that has a question that says, where does weather cycling occur? Where does most weather occur, right? And then you could practice that. So that would be the troposphere. So the stratosphere, this has ozone. Ozone is really important because it absorbs harmful UVB and UVC rays. If you've ever bought sunglasses, you might see that they have UVA or UVB protection written on it. UV rays are harmful rays that can damage your DNA and cause skin cancer. This is why if you lay outside too much in the sun, you have an increased risk of getting skin cancer because of these UVB and UVC and UVA rays. Okay? The ozone is like a shield. It protects us from these sun rays. The ozone hole or the ozone layer has nothing to do with climate change. Nothing. Kids get it wrong all the time. Okay, it's one of the top complaints that readers who read and score the AP exams say is that a lot of times kids get climate change and the ozone layer confused. The ozone layer blocks harmful sun rays. Okay, we need it so we don't get skin cancer every single day. All right.
Wait.
Yeah.
So the ozone layer, that doesn't affect the climate.
Correct. Not significantly. Yes.
Wow.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So you could also make a card that has like the layers of the atmosphere. See if you can name them in order, right? Because if you know them in order and they ask you like, oh, which layer would you find furthest from Earth? You would be able to tell me it's the exosphere, right? So practice knowing these in order. Okay. We have the mesosphere. The mesosphere is pretty, we don't really have anything exciting to write about it. Okay. The thermosphere blocks X-rays. X-rays come in from space. X-rays, yes, like the X-rays that your doctor gives you or that your dentist gives you. X-rays are harmful. This is why you get that nice little vest at the dentist when they give you X-rays, because they can harm your organs. So it's important that we have the thermosphere. You also might want to write that the thermosphere is the hottest layer. Notice it says therm in it. Therm means heat. And then the exosphere, which is not on your diagram. You can put it above it if you want. Okay? So what I would like you to do on your diagram, we're going to draw these two lines. Okay? So these two lines indicate temperature. What do you guys know if you go on top of a mountain, what happens to the temperature? It drops, right? So in the troposphere, my temperature decreases as we go higher. Okay? So this whole thing looks like an M. Okay, you're going to need to draw this in your diagram. So if you notice on the thermosphere, okay, Vinny was talking about like the International Space Station orbiting up here. Why doesn't it burn up? Well, it gets really, really hot, but it can also be really, really cold. Okay, so it depends on where it's orbiting. All right. So notice this looks like an M. If you memorize that it looks like sideways M, you could probably figure it out in your head if you get asked a question on it. All right. Generally, I would say you'd probably get a question on the troposphere or the thermosphere. I have not looked at any test banks. I have not made a test, so I don't know what your questions are going to be on, but I would guess if they're going to ask you a question on the AP exam, it would be on these top two since they have such a big difference from the bottom of the layer to the top. So what's the relationship between altitude and pressure? If you go on top of a mountain, what's going to happen to the pressure? Decrease. okay? So in your notes, as altitude increases, so as we get higher, as altitude increases, pressure decreases. So, for example, okay, we're going to draw this curve first. So this is pressure. So you can draw it here. It's basically 0, and then it curves down. You're going to draw that curve on your diagram as well. So as we go in, like, up higher and higher, pressure decreases. If you didn't know, pressure, air pressure, is the amount of air that's pushing down on you. Okay, so if you're down really low, like at sea level, there's a lot of air pushing down on you. So the air pressure is a lot higher. If you go up a mountain, there's less air above you, so there's less pressure. If you go into outer space, there is no pressure. What happens if you go into outer space? You blow up. Okay, most people are like, you freeze. Yes, you do freeze because it's cold. But if there's no pressure, you blow up like a marshmallow. Okay, now, I don't know exactly how this works with like freezing, if you'd freeze first or second or whatever. But if you've ever seen the demo in chemistry where they have a marshmallow, they put it in that vacuum chamber and they suck all the pressure out, it blows up. Why? Because there's nothing pushing on it to constrain it there. Okay, so as we go up into space, we get less and less pressure. So then what about altitude and density? So as we increase our altitude, what happens to the density of the air particles? Do you think it gets more dense or less dense? Less dense. There's less air particles, okay? So our relationship here that we're writing down is as altitude increases, density decreases. Okay, and then obviously we can't write a rule for temperature because it depends on where we're at. All right, so what makes a desert different from a rainforest? You can tell me. Desert different from a rainforest. Okay, more water, more rain. What else? Okay, maybe. Yeah, what else? What? Hot. Okay, so we have temperature and precipitation. Those are the two main things that influence a climate. We also have different plants and animals, but they're there because of precipitation and temperature. Those are the two things you need to remember. I had a professor in college who was like, drilled this into my head. You need to know this, okay? And you guys need to know it too. So when we talk about weather, we're talking about short-term conditions. This is why you get a weather forecast like every day. Climate is typically the pattern over like 10 plus years. So I talk typically about climate change like, oh, when people talk about, oh, this winter was really warm or really cold, so climate change must not be happening. Climate refers to trends over 10 years or longer, okay? So we can't just look at 1 year. So the two main factors, this is what you're writing down, are temperature and precipitation. These are the two main things that determine climate, okay? Now, we also know latitude and altitude play a role. So what is latitude? What's the latitude of the equator? 0, okay? Altitude, that would be what? How high you are, right? So like on a mountain, okay? Good. So we're going to talk about these 5 different things that influence the climate of the Earth, okay? We're going to talk about each one of these one by one, all right?